Questions for me, have you?
Yeah, I have a good few, yeah.
Are they easy?
Yeah, they're pretty easy. Just asking what's your kind of involvement and what did you do in the club and things like that.
Good.
If you want to just sit down there.
Yeah. Oh my god, a new fancy seat.
Lovely.
Lovely. So where do you live in town?
Up in Clemency.
Oh nice. Big area up there, isn't it?
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive, man.
I went up there one day to look at a job in Clemency, and I went back 2 days later and I couldn't find the house. I had to ask the postman where it was. It's the only way of finding out.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, what would be your earliest memory of the club?
Sorry?
What would be your earliest memory of the club?
My earliest memory of the club, I suppose, was I was at a cup final.
Right.
It was either the Counties Cup or the Whitley Cup. I'm not quite sure. It was in Mount Rath, and I don't even know who Portlaoise were playing, to be honest with you. But I went to go and see it with a friend of mine.
Right. Do you know what kind of year? Do you know the year of that? Or?
I'm guessing it's around 78 or 9.
Right. And would that be the place where you first got involved, or?
No, not necessarily, because I didn't start playing until probably 82. I was still in school at that stage. I didn't play in school. I didn't play any. There was no underage. I don't think there was an underage structure at that stage in Portlaoise.
Right.
If there was, I wasn't playing.
No, I was talking to some lads. I don't think there was now until late 80s, 90s. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I suppose when can you tell us about the day you joined the club?
The day I joined the club? No, I can't actually tell you the day I joined the club. Only I know that we had a first and a second team, and they were starting a third team, but they didn't have enough numbers. So what they did was they got St Vincent's Hospital in Portlaoise. They had enough lads to make up a team as well. So they provided 7 and we provided 6, or vice versa, something like that. And that's how I got playing.
Right.
So I wasn't good enough to be on any of the first or the second teams at that stage, but that's the story from there.
Right. And do you recall your first game for the club? One of your first games?
No, I don't recall anything. I remember playing with that team that year, and we had many laughs.
Yeah.
So we had. It was good. It was enjoyable. I can't remember a particular game of then. No. Nothing. We had a couple of local derby. We had one local derby here with the team in town. All right, and they were better than us. We were well up in the league, and they were well up in the league, but they beat us, I think, on both occasions. They were better. They were more experienced side.
Right. And what age level did you first play? Did you play your first game? When did you seniors?
I suppose I would have been. Let me see. I would have been probably 19, I'd say. I'm guessing around 19.
Right.
Before I played, yeah.
Alright. And what was the club like when you first joined?
Well, look, I wasn't aware of what the club was like when I first joined. When I first played, the reason I played my first game is because there were short of players in a midweek game going over to Castledermot, to play a match. And a good friend of mine who played all of the years with me until he got injured, his brother was on the team and there were shorter players, so he was going and they asked me to go. And that's when I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how many teams was in it. I took it was only one team maybe in the club, I'd say, at the time, and that was basically as much as I knew about it. I didn't know anymore.
Can you remember who the manager was of the team?
At that time, there wasn't managers of the team. There was a group of people who would pick the actual squad of players each week, and that's how it was determined. A selection committee is what it was. They would meet during the week and pick the squads for the first and second team, and then it was the first, second, and third team when that happened. So.
And can you tell us about some of your first teammates?
From my first teammates. Some of my first teammates were guys that I went to school with.
Right.
Yeah, I went to school with secondary school with them, and I would have played with some of them. I would have played indoor football.
Right.
And with some of them, my teammates, I would have played against them in indoor football. So that's how I got to know them. But then we all came together on for outdoor football. So that's basically that.
When you say secondary school, did you go to the CBS here in town?
It was vocational school.
The vocational school, right.
Where they were totally against soccer.
How long did your playing career last?
A lot of people would say too long. I played till I was, this is a debatable question. If you ask different people, I would have played up till I was 40.
Jesus.
Yeah, I would have played up till I was 40.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have played as much when I was at 40. I was basically just filling in the gap at that stage. If it was short, I'd get in and play. But I'd say I played reasonably well up to 38. And then didn't play as much in 39 and 40 and stuff like that, you know.
Okay, and what teams did you play for with the club?
I played with the third team that year, and then after that I played with the first team. And I played with the first team, I'd say, all of my career. I was always with the first team. Why was I always with the first team? I don't know, maybe they were stuck the whole time, but I played with the first team all the time. But I would have played different games. If the C team or the B team were stuck in different times, I would play with them as well. But mostly my career was with the first team.
I was trying to know some of your best memories, playing
some
with the club.
Of my best memories playing. Oh God. My best memories playing, I suppose. What was my best memories playing? Well, obviously the standout ones were when we were in the FAI Senior Cup and Intermediate Cup back in 1991. Fantastic memories there. We were playing, as they say, you were punching above your weight. We were playing against teams that were better than us.
Yeah.
Well, they were as good as us and a lot of them were better, but we beat a lot of those teams. The run into the league one year, we had our season played and Ballymun were in second place and they had 11 games to go. They won 10 and drew 1 to force a playoff with us.
Yeah. And
we went up to Kiltipper in Tala and we beat them. I think it was 5-0 that evening, so we did. And what's my memories? That's my memory of that. Anytime you would play teams that were rated higher than you, to me they were all the good games.
Really?
Because that's what you wanted to play against, teams that were always better. Maybe you just wanted to pull them down a peg or something, or show that you were, you need something like that to raise your game, playing better teams. It was always playing better teams. Now, having said that, we would have got hammered by better teams as well.
Yeah.
But we played in an intermediate competition years ago with Ashtown Villa and Eden Moor. They were two excellent sides, and between the three of us, everyone would beat everybody along the line, and that was great football. Then the football was fantastic, So that's my memories of then.
Apart from that, are there any other games, either just watching or?
Well, I suppose that 5-0 game was a fantastic game on the basis that Ballymun were probably the top junior side in the country that year. They got to, I think, about 4 semi-finals. They ended up losing nearly everything. I don't think they won a cup competition that year, lost the league as well to us. But that match up there in Kiltipper was fantastic. A match we went to in the earlier rounds of the Intermediate Cup before we played in the Senior Cup. We went up to Drogheda and we were 3-0 down, I think, at half time. We won 4-3 with a corner in the last minute of the game.
Brilliant.
And another night we went up to a place we were in contention for a league title and we had barely 11 players. We barely had 11 players. We had actually only 11 on the night starting off, because it was midweek game. It was hard to get lads off work. We won that 1-0 that night, which is a fantastic victory as well, considering I won't say we were just missing a couple of key players that night. So
yeah.
Good memories of that night now as well,
After you finished playing, did you remain involved in the club in some sort of way?
Yeah. I've been involved with the club since I signed on in the first place, when I played with the third team and then with the first team. I went in on the committee level and I've been on the committee ever since.
Have you kept ties with members of the club that have hung up their boots?
Yeah, I am in contact with those guys the whole time, and I keep them up to speed on what's going on. Some of them are still involved in the club, some of them are not. Some of them come down and support, and it is still of an interest in the club. But yeah, I do. I would still be in touch with a lot of them.
How has the club changed since you were first involved?
Since I was first involved, if you think that the club had, when I officially started, when I started my first game, they had, I think, one team, possibly two. When I then started playing, they had three. We now have three senior teams, up to I suppose 20 schoolboy teams with under 16s, under 17s and under 18s also. So the team aspect of it has been great. We have our own ground, we have our clubhouse, we have our all-weather pitches, we have floodlights, we have an awful lot more people involved. It's just snowballed.
Brilliant.
You know, snowballed into what it is.
And what kind of significant changes have you seen during your time with the club?
Significant changes, I suppose. One of the most significant is the academy coming on board and making football available to so many kids, and putting it puts a structure together for football going forward to support our senior teams when they get to that age. That's been very, very important, the academy coming in.
How important is Portlaoise AFC to you?
To me, how important it's been a major part of my life since I played, and it's part of my life, of my everyday life, of my weekend life. It's just the whole thing. I'm involved for so long and doing so much and being involved so much. It's been great for me and for the people I would have met within the club, and the relationships I would have struck up with people within the club who have the same goals basically as I have within the club, you know. So it's been great.
Where do you see Portlaoise AFC in 10 years' time?
Oh God, in 10 years' time. Where do I see them in 10 years' time? That's always a tricky question, because it's where you want to see them or where you really think they will actually be. I think they will be a lot stronger than what they are at the moment, which are very strong at the moment. I'm hoping that we will be able to cater for a good lot of kids wanting to play football, but unfortunately a lot of kids fall through the net on the basis that maybe they're not good enough at the time, and we don't have the bodies to look after the teams. We don't have the bodies to look after the volume of numbers of kids that want to play football. And to have the proper structures in place to protect kids, because it's very important that they're looked after, because at the moment there's nearly too much sports out there for kids at the moment. There's a fierce demands on kids. And I think that's something that would have to be looked at. So hopefully that will be sorted out. Because what it'll do, it'll put kids off. They won't be playing in their teens. No one will ever play till they're 30 or 35, because they'll have too much football by the time they're in their mid-20s and stuff like that. How do I see the club then? I see it flourishing, hopefully. I see a lot more work being done down here to upgrade the place, and hopefully we'll have more land that we will be able to have more games down here, because we have to use the leisure centre down below as well, just to compensate for our lack of pitches here.
What is your favourite memory of Portlaoise AFC, of a Portlaoise AFC game where you weren't playing, where you was watching or a spectator?
I was watching. Oh dear, my favourite memory. I suppose, what's my favourite memory? Favourite memory, I suppose, is it just the season gone past with the first team. They won the Polycoff Cup, but not just my favourite memory is nearly of the season, of their home games. The football they were playing was so good, and some of the teams, not all the teams that came down, were excellent teams as well, but those matches to me, they stand out. I know they're the most recent, but the football in those games was fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yeah. The current crop that's there was great. Yeah.
What was your training regime when it came to playing for Portlaoise
The
AFC?
training regime was a bit of a run, a few sprints, a few stretches, and a bit of ball. That was basically it.
That was it. And what other roles have you performed in Portlaoise AFC, and how have they evolved over the years?
I was the manager of the first team. I was the manager of a schoolboy team. I was the secretary, probably the poorest secretary the club ever had, and vice chairman and chairman. So the schoolboy thing has changed now because it's. I suppose when I was involved, I did it on my own. Well, I was with a guy first, and then we split up into two different teams. So I did a lot of it on my own, which is a very difficult thing to do nowadays. So I couldn't see anybody run the team on their own now, virtually impossible. The manager's thing, on the senior thing, again, it's not a job for someone on their own because there's too much work involved in it, and that's how that's changed. It's a group of people that would run a team, even though there would be a manager heading that group. And so as for the roles, obviously because of the volume of people that are in the club, there's a lot more work involved now than there would have been when I started out first. So the chairman back then, I suppose, would have had less teams to deal with. I'm the chairman now, I have more teams to deal with. When I was the secretary, there was less teams to deal with. I'm now not the secretary, and there's an awful lot more paperwork to do for the secretary.
Yeah.
So it has changed a lot because of the volumes that have come in. But good changes.
The club is working towards all teams at all age levels wearing the same shirts. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that they have, it's an identity. It's something we should have by now. We're slow about doing it. It should have been done before now, and we just didn't enforce it because I suppose we wouldn't have had enough bodies at committee level to try and enforce these. A lot of the time we're concentrating on getting teams and getting people playing football. But as more people have gotten involved, all these other issues have come up, and they're good things. So hopefully going forward we will be able to do that and maintain it. I think if we get every team the same, when that happens, it'll fall into place naturally then after that. So it won't take as much work to do.
Right. Are any of your family members actively involved in the club?
No, my son and daughter just go to the academy because they're at that age. Nobody else. My mother was at one stage, helped out back in the day in the 80s with some fundraisers, and my brother played a small bit as well back then. But I'm the only lingering member hanging on.
If you could wish 3 things for Portlaoise AFC, what would they be?
What would they be? Oh dear. Well, to wish to have to make soccer available to everybody, to make it available to everybody, whether it's girls or boys, kids, adults, people with disabilities, to be able to cater for everything that's possible within soccer, and that people would enjoy it, because it's most important that you enjoy it. That would be my wish of the whole thing. If you don't enjoy it, as I just said to people, if you don't enjoy being involved in the club, it's a chore, you shouldn't be doing it or you shouldn't be involved. It's about enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's not all about the winning part.
Brilliant.
Even though at certain stages it is about winning, and part of enjoyment is winning as well. So there's a bit in the mix there.
Yeah. And just last question: what do you think Portlaoise AFC means to the town of Portlaoise?
What does it mean to the town of Portlaoise? I suppose it's hopefully it's a good identity for the town. It gives a good reflection of the people of the town of Portlaoise, and I hope the people of the town would be proud of the soccer club and what's supplied for people within the area. When you consider that it's a voluntary organisation, like a lot of other sporting organisations, they're voluntary as well. So I hope it gives a good identity to the town, and I think it does, and it gives a good representation.